Hi everyone, my name's Allison Grosz. I'm an attorney and a partner with Hemrick O'Malley, PLLC in New York City. Today I want to do the final part of my series about how to acquire or derive citizenship if you are a child who is born and residing outside of the United States. If you recall, we recently discussed the option for people to automatically derive citizenship at the time of their birth, and also how they can acquire citizenship from their parents after the time of their birth under certain circumstances. So today I want to talk about how a child who is not able to derive or acquire automatic citizenship from their U.S. citizen parent may be able to acquire citizenship from their grandparent under certain circumstances. It's important to keep in mind that this is a rather rare situation, but of course does apply to a lot of people around the world. So let's talk about this. If a child who's born and residing outside of the United States has a U.S. citizen parent, but that parent isn't able to confer or bestow or give automatic citizenship to their child because that parent doesn't have the residence requirements that we talked about in my prior video before the child's birth inside of the United States, meaning the parent never actually resided or didn't reside for enough time inside of the United States to give their child the automatic acquisition of citizenship, well, that child may be able to rely on their grandparent, meaning a U.S. citizen grandparent who gave the citizenship to the child's parent. Let's talk about the actual logistics of this. If a child who's born outside of the United States has a U.S. citizen grandparent, and that grandparent physically resided in the United States at any point in time for 5 years in total, 2 of which are after the age of 14, well, then there is a chance that the child could acquire citizenship through the physical presence of their U.S. citizen grandparent. It's important to keep in mind that the grandparent does not need to have been a U.S. citizen for the entire 5 years of time. Any time not as a U.S. citizen but physically present in the United States of the grandparent can count towards this time. Further, it's important to know that this period of time, of course, is calculated in the aggregate. What that means is that it doesn't have to be a consecutive amount of time, meaning back to back. It can be a total period of time of 5 years at any point during the grandparent's life, so long as 2 of those years were after the grandparent turned 14 years old. Something else that's important to know about this process is the grandparent doesn't have to actually be living in order to try to meet the standard to acquire citizenship of the grandchild based on their grandparent's citizenship status and residency in the United States. If the grandparent has died, well then the U.S. citizen parent who's filing this petition on behalf of the child or the grandchild of the grandparent with residency can file this petition after their parent, the grandparent, has been deceased, as long as they can show that the residency of their parent for 5 years took place before the death of the grandparent. There, of course, are many steps that need to be followed in this process to prove that a grandchild has acquired citizenship through the U.S. citizenship and residency of a grandparent. However, let's briefly talk about some big ones. First of all, the U.S. citizen grandparent must have also had a U.S. citizen child of their own, meaning the parent of the grandchild, who either got their citizenship through acquisition or through naturalization. Second, the U.S. citizen grandchild must be under 18 at the time that they acquire their citizenship through their grandparent. Another requirement is that the grandchild is residing regularly and continuously outside of the United States. This process is not for a child who is residing inside of the United States because, of course, at that time, they could be acquiring their citizenship through their parent who's a citizen. Another requirement along that same line is, of course, the child is residing with their U.S. citizen parent abroad. There are many other factors that go into somebody's eligibility under this category. However, it is very important to note that if you are considering whether or not your child has acquired citizenship through you, you should also try to consider whether or not the possibility could have been done through your parent, meaning the child's grandparent. This is a very complex matter that I highly recommend speaking with a qualified immigration attorney about, as well as doing the process for you about, because there are many nuances about when, where, and how this petition process needs to be filed and how to attend the interview eventually with your child physically inside of the United States after submitting the application. You can feel free to find us online at hemrick.law, or you can call us at 833-848-7838. We're happy to discuss this matter or any other immigration matter with you. And until next time, I look forward to talking to everyone soon.